Hello and welcome to the Tarkus Zone. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be discussing Fractured Veil. Now, I changed my review on the Steam page. We're going to look at the reviews here. I've actually at this point uninstalled the game. I actually tried to put in for a refund at the 9-hour mark. Obviously, they denied it because it's a 2-hour mark. It's just that I could not get to what I needed to know about the game until about the 9-hour mark. That's the problem with like MMOs or games like this where you really have got to put some time in before you can say you like it or not. This review is basically my opinion of the game. I mean, you might not share the same opinion, but when Tarkus goes to play a game, and he's played games of this genre before, he kind of expects certain things to kind of flow. And there was just a few things that I did not agree with. There's a few of the core concepts of the game that just felt clunky to me. And the response for a couple of the developers when I kind of called them on it was like, okay, what do we got here? A walking simulator? And I don't mean to be mean about saying that, but I'm like, guys, I'm doing a lot of walking here to get basic things done. And then they explained to me how the game works. And if they had put something out prior to the game releasing that this is their vision or the concept of how their game flows, I would have never bought it. I would never bought it. It would never have landed in my Steam wallet. I would have not promoted the game. I would have been like, I'm just walking away now and moving on to the next game, which I'm going to do now because I've uninstalled it. Don't think I'll ever come back to it. It's just that, you know, it would have to be something different for me to come back. Now, they've got some amazing models going on in the game, like the terrain and whatnot, and how they built the world. They did a very good job with that, and how you build your own home. They have some great pieces to make yourself a nice looking home. Now, if it was just a home building game, I would say, yeah, I mean, for $5, it would be a good change of pace as a home building game. But they were asking $20 for this thing. And I'm thinking to myself, I mean, I guess that's fair if the concept or what you expect to get out of $20 is in the game, and it just seemed like it wasn't. And again, this is my honest opinion of the game. Now, one of the core things that I got frustrated with is the walking. I decided to put my base kind of remote without realizing that the core game requires you to go back to the major city all the time. And after I clocked 50 minutes of walking in last night's session, I was like, I am done. And then when I made a comment on Discord, the developer kind of gave me a little snidey remark that, calm down, we've got plans for traveling in this game. Well, maybe you should have put it in your game day one so that Tarkus didn't feel like he was just walking around all the time. Now, the whole thing about this converter they got in the main town is you got these crystals and you got these little tokens called rye, I believe that's what they're called, that you come and you put them in the converter, and then the rye gives you like the money in the game. That's the currency. So you're basically taking one currency and converting it into another currency, and the second currency that you converted it to, that's how you use that in the game. So one of the currencies is energy. So you can't research anything without energy. And I found that all the vendors in town require the energy, and they require the money token, which you get from the rye in the converter. And I was thinking to myself, okay, well, that's interesting way of doing it. I don't like that way of doing it because it forces me to walk all the time. And they don't have mounts, they don't have vehicles. It was just quite frustrating. Then I was like, okay, then how do I fight these mutants more effectively to get those crystals? Because the two ways you get the crystals is killing the mutants and going after the stone. And another developer, snidey remark, was like, well, just go kill the mutants. And it was like, okay, well, you haven't given me the tools to do it effectively, or am I missing something here? They're like, well, you've got to buy the tools, or you got to buy items from the vendors. But it's like a vicious circle that I can't get the items from the vendors unless I kill the mutants. And then another developer was kind enough to say, well, you can get those crystals by mining the rock nodes. So I went out and mined the rock nodes for an hour. You know how many crystals I got in an hour? 17. And I need 127 of them. to do the conversion, I believe. Now, I was able to convert it with less than that by putting a lot of rye in the process, but the rye basically comes from the mutants that drop it. And the thing about the mutants is, melee wise, they're a pain in the butt to kill melee wise. So they've got no armor sets in the game, so you can't mitigate the damage. So you're basically trying to face tank these mutants with a melee weapon, and the mutants are not moving well. So it's like in a game, For Honor, I guess is the game I want. You basically had to really work your character. Well, you can't really do that in this game because the mutant doesn't follow the laws of physics, and it's just all over the place, and you get killed. And even if you kill the mutant using melee weapon, you end up bleeding to death anyway. It's a full drop game, so you spend all your time walking back to your corpse, walking back to your corpse, walking back to my corpse. So then I got the bow, and the bow was so janky that the frustration level that I had with the bow was like nothing I have experienced in years. I mean, I get the fact that they wanted to make it kind of primitive, that you don't hit all the time. But at that point where you have to shoot 30 arrows at the thing to hopefully hit it a couple times, just for me, just felt silly. It didn't feel right. And the physics in the game didn't feel right either. How they had things moving in the game, maybe on Mars some of this physics would work out, but in this game, like the torch, when you pull the torch out, the whole thing's just in your face. So here it is, you're holding it, and you hold the torch like this in this game. That alone was annoying. It was just annoying how they placed the torch in the game, and how when you swang things or even when you attacked with the torch, it just didn't feel clean. And I'm not here to rip this game apart. I'm just frustrated that their testers or their beta testers did not point out some of these issues. And, overall, it's the walking back to the town thing that gets me. Again, I tried getting a refund after the 9-hour mark, because with this game is you can't really determine what you got until you get up there in hours, but then you blow past the refund window. So at 9 hours, I tried refunding it. They said, obviously no. So they got my $20 fine. It supports their development team, but this game is uninstalled. I will never install it again, regardless of where they go with this project, because I just felt that there was not a clean way to tell the developers what I'm thinking, because they got this on Discord, they got this whole little AI bot system that you report things. And one of the devs kept on saying, report it here, Tarkus, report it here. I'm like, well, I'm telling you directly. I'm telling you directly in Discord what I'm thinking. I can do a video doing it, and another snidey remark that I get back. Well, everybody else is using the form. You can use the form too. And I'm like, okay, if I have to do work to play a video game and then feel like the video game is work in addition to that work, then I'm out. I'm out. So my value, my fun factor, that's how I rate my games. My fun factor for this game is a 3 out of 10. And I don't think it would ever get past a 5 if they kept the way their core concept. And again, this is just my honest opinion. This is just me feeling that this seems not right. And I'm not the only one. When you go to the reviews, they're in mixed. If you read the positive reviews, people have said some positive things about it that I agree with. But if you start reading some of the negative reviews, then you get the best bite of the apple, and you know what you're getting. Now, my review, I'll tell you what my review ended up. It was a thumbs up. At the 2-hour mark, I had given it a thumbs up. At this time, this is what I wrote. After playing a few more hours, at this time, I would not recommend this game. Some of the core elements of this game are too frustrating. Fun factor of this game right now for me is a 3 out of 10. I tend to uninstall games with that low of a value. And I did. I uninstalled it. Because the thing about it is when you're drowning and the guy with a life buoy is kind of like mocking you drowning, that's when I'm out. Because that's how I felt with the development team. was like they kind of mocking me that I didn't know what I was talking about or I didn't understand it. And it was like, well, then please explain it to me. Please explain it to me as like I'm a 6-year-old so I can get it. Or it would have been nice if you explained it to me a week or 2 weeks ago when Tarkus was promoting your game, because I'm on YouTube trying to promote your game, and I'm finding your game very frustrating at the level in which it's at. And the other thing that the biggest thing that was really chapping me was the fact that the totem was not working right. So I was feeding the totem wood. You got to feed it wood so it gives you time, like attacks, so that your building doesn't get destroyed. I fed that totem, had to be like 3,000 wood. And every single time I fed it wood, within 15 minutes, the time reverted to 0. I'd go out in the world and come back, and my building was taking damage because the world was gobbling it up, because it was acting as though I hadn't paid my taxes, but I was paying my taxes all the time. Basically, it was a tree cutting simulator at that time. In addition to a walking simulator, it became a tree cutting simulator, because I had to cut these trees down all the time just to hope that the damn totem would remember what I put into it, so I'd get my hours of protection, and it was just reverting that hours of protection to 0. I was like, okay, I mentioned it, and again, they were like, oh, you have to report that through this. Okay, I said enough. Tarkus will not be doing any more future videos on this game. Tarkus is done basically with the game. I'm just going to move forward. I just wanted to share this with you folks because I have been promoting it. If this game seems to be to your liking, get on it, pay the $20, play up to the 2-hour mark, see if it's something that you can come back to me and say, you missed something here, Tarkus. Maybe you should reconsider it. Now, I'd be more than happy to reconsider it if somebody came up to me and said, oh, this is what you missed. This is a key thing that you missed. Now, I'll be the first person to say that I've missed things in games that could sway my opinion either way, and people come back and told me that you missed the boat, Tarkus. This is what you needed to do. But in this case, I'm on the boat. I feel like it's sinking, and the devs got the life buoy, and they're just mocking me. That's how I just felt. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, and this has been the Tarkus Zone.